Welcome back, everyone, to another installment of Future Past Vintage Collectibles, talking about comic eras. Today we're talking about the 1960s. Get ready. A little bit popular. Just saying, 60s are popular for comic books. Before we unpack all that, I want to tell you a little bit about where we sell books. We're comic resellers. Every Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific time, on Instagram, we have a live claim sale. Rachel and me live every Monday night. Come check it out sometime. Join Instagram, look at Instagram or whatever. Rachel will tell you where else you can get our stuff.
We also have a Buy It Now feature on Instagram where we post books for sale on just an Instagram post, so check that out. We are doing our first hosted auction over on Shortboxed, QR code on the screen. You can take a look at the books that we're going to be offering. All of the books in the auction are our books, and they're going live September 20th, so definitely check it out and push the little notification for whenever it goes live, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, they're all raw books, and they have the grades on there. You can check them out. We look forward to you looking at that. Where else do we sell books?
We also have an eBay store, so check it out. We post books every single week over there.
Yep. We buy collections. If you're considering selling your comics, please consider us. There's a code right here, or you can look in our item description to find our email address. We're fair, we're easy to deal with. We buy collections.
Make sure to follow us on eBay, Instagram, Shortboxed, and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, and at least like this video because it helps us, know that you guys actually like it. Thumbs up and all that stuff. Anyway, no further ado, let's talk about the 1960s. The 1960s were a turbulent time, beginning with things like the Bay of Pigs and the fear of nuclear war on America's doorstep, assassinations, assassination attempts, the Vietnam War. That's the era I was born in and my brother was born in, and we were raised around all of that. So I remember doing bomb scares at my school, in the 60s, hiding under desks and stuff. So anyway, it was a different time, and comic books really did change from the beginning of the decade until the end of the decade. There were other things happening within the pop culture, like
the Beatles. Yeah. That was a big one. Also Woodstock.
Yeah, the Beatles, I don't know if you know this, the Beatles were the first band to ever perform in an arena.
But yeah, Woodstock happened, which everyone knows what Woodstock is.
That was at the end of the decade.
Yeah. And then also Motown started. Artists like The Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder.
Love Motown.
I love Stevie Wonder.
Along with colored television in the 1960s, there were some fantastic family movies and non-family movies that really affected the culture. Things like Easy Rider, Barbarella, also Mary Poppins, Sound of Music, all kinds of animated stuff coming out of Disney that was a lot of fun. A lot of farcical movies like The Nutty Professor. 60s were a great time in culture, and there was a lot of fun. Jerry Lewis was all the rave in the 1960s. And ending with things like 2001: Space Odyssey, probably one of the greatest science fiction movies to ever start, let alone to kick it off into this realistic, believable movie. And the movie I'm wearing on my t-shirt.
And like we kind of mentioned at the beginning, a lot of political struggles like the JFK assassination, the civil rights movement was during the 60s.
Yep.
A lot of things were going on.
It was definitely not a boring time. Things were happening. There were scary things going on. Comic books became more and more popular throughout the 60s for lots of different reasons. There was a lot of new characters introduced. Every era we talk about, if there was one defining thing in an era, besides these new characters being introduced or reintroduced from the Golden Age, what would that be? And it was the end of the distribution struggle for Marvel Comics in 1968. They were pretty much under the thumb of DC for a long time because DC owned all of the distribution. So they only allowed Marvel to come out with so many titles a month. And Marvel was trying to finagle to figure out how to grow their brand. And by 1968, they were sold. And in that sale, they got infused with a lot of cash, and the distribution deal changed. And all of a sudden, they decided to put out tons of new titles. And if you're a collector in my age group, you remember books from that era, either growing up and knowing about them because they weren't that far away from when I was collecting comics, as this resurgence of all these great heroes that had already been introduced. And we'll talk about that towards the end, about those particular books. But that was massive in this era. So by the end of the 60s, comic books were bigger than ever.
Something I found interesting was that the 12-cent cover price stayed pretty consistent throughout almost the entire decade of the 60s. Yep. They didn't change to 15 cents until the very end whenever Marvel was able to distribute more comic books.
Yeah, after that, the price went up to 15 cents across the board, all publishers.
I feel like that's unheard of today, to have a comic book stay the same price for that long.
They don't.
They don't. Like, even after you sell a comic book or buy a comic book from a comic book store, it's a different price as soon as you buy it. So, like, it's really interesting to me that that was a thing.
People really got comics for different reasons back then, right?
Yeah, I was asking you before we started filming, like, how did people buy comics back then? Why were people buying comics? And it was to read them. It wasn't to collect them necessarily. People were reading all of these books, especially towards the end of the decade when all these #1s came out. It was very popular, and reading comic books today is still popular, but the collecting side of it, I think, is a little bit more popular.
There are a lot of collectors that buy for covers or buy eras and don't appreciate the stories, and that's fine. It's not a negative or a positive. It's an is thing. Anytime someone buys a comic book, it's good for comic books in general. But back then, kids were reading them, and by the end of the decade, adults were reading them. People that had, been drafted or otherwise signed up for the military, they were reading funny books.
What else could they do when they're on their downtime?
Drugs. They did a lot of drugs, read a lot of comic books.
The 60s. The first comic convention ever was in the 60s. But there was only 100 people there, so that kind of reflects
in New York, 1964, I think.
Yes, and that kind of reflects on how many people were actually going to buy comics as like a collectible.
Very, very, very small community. There were a couple of dealers though that did have a mail order.
Yeah, people like Jerry Bales and Howard Rogofsky, I think is how you say their name. They had the mail order. Yeah,
so they had mail order stuff, and how much could you buy a Action #1 for back then?
This is crazy. So you could buy an Action 1 from Howard Rogofsky for around $100 to $200,
which is between $1,000 and $2,000 current dollars today. So that really tells you a lot. And by the way, that was expensive.
Yeah, back then
that was expensive. But think of you coming up with $1,000 or $2,000 for a comic book that you weren't sure what was going to happen with it. You just wanted it.
Right. Some other places you could buy comic books around that time were comic book dealers. And if you were looking for back issues, like a used bookstore. But there weren't as many options as there are today, or even from the 70s and the 80s and 90s, to buy comic books like openly in the world.
First comic book store opened in San Francisco, I think, at the latter part of the decade. So it was just a very different complexion, and it was absolutely about the product more than collecting it. I'm sure there were hoarders back then. But you notice that if collections come out with a lot of 60 books, they're usually pedigrees from these collectors that bought them and just kind of put them away. Didn't read them one time, put them away, and they were just pristine. We call those pedigrees today, and there's a lot out there, and there's a lot of Silver Age pedigrees. So it wasn't really common, and you'll see by the prices, the early 60s are much different than the late 60s when there was a lot more people buying, speculating, putting issues away, thinking that they might be valuable. In our other decade series, we really go into artists. We go into first appearances. Most of these are first appearances or re-first appearances. And we're not going to do that because we have so many books. And believe me, we're scratching the surface. We tried to hit the biggest books. So just by doing that, we're going to get right to it.
Before we do that, we are going to be rating this decade with our system that we've been utilizing in all of our past videos. We have 5 different key points that we're talking about with a rating scale of 1 to 5 that we'll talk about at the end of the video if you want to see out of 5 how good this decade is to invest in.
This is a good decade to invest in, I'll tell you right now.
So let's get into all of the books.
Let's kick it off.
Get a snack.
Let's kick it off with Hulk, #1, 1962.
Jack Kirby did the cover.
Yep.
And oh man, this book is very expensive. So recently...
And sought after.
Very sought
Collectors,
after.
I mean, this is a popular book.
And I'm sure you've seen the cover if you care about comics at all. A 9.2 sold in 2025 for $780,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's insane. It's almost $1 million.
This era is one of those great eras where, people are like, I want 9.8s. Good luck. A lot of this stuff, 9.8's the most unreasonable grade to want something in.
Yes.
Let's say that I want the highest graded. Then come up with $800,000 for that book and more for some other books.
Well, a 9.0 sold, so a little bit lower grade, you could get for $312,000. Bargain.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the money you saved.
So much money. And then we went ahead and looked up some raw prices as well, just so you have that
all
idea.
the raws are around 1.0s, and you expect to spend between $3,000 and $4,000
for this one.
For a 1.0 in that area, like super low grade, maybe cover's not connected, missing half the cover, restoration, who knows? They're not cheap. There's no copy of this is cheap. I hope everyone realizes this is the first appearance of Hulk. We might not have mentioned
I don't know if we mentioned at the
Be
beginning,
more
but
careful about that in the future ones.
now you know. All right, the next book.
In 1961, though, Fantastic Four #1 came out.
First appearance of the Fantastic Four, another Jack Kirby cover.
And the first superhero team by Marvel, using the success from DC, they're like, this is probably a good idea. Let's come up with our own team.
So I have a couple sales data points for this one. There was a White Mountain Pedigree in 9.2 that sold in 2025 for $600,000.
That's a lot of money.
A 9.2. A 9.6 sold in 2024 for $2,040,000.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I believe that's the highest graded copy, and I think there's only like 2 of them. So I guess it kind of makes sense. I can't even imagine what that would look like, a 9.6.
You can get a copy for $1,500 to $1,700 in the 1.0 range. So, I mean, they're out there.
Not looking like a 9.6 though. Nope. Not a $2 million one.
Nope.
Does it have a cover? Probably not.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah, it's got a piece of one anyway. It's probably not connected.
You're right.
Yeah, anyway.
Next book.
It's still an FF1. Let's not forget that.
That's true, even without the cover.
Sometimes it's about the book, maybe not the grade. I don't know.
All right, the next book. Amazing Fantasy 15 from 1962. It's the first appearance of Spider-Man, another Jack Kirby cover. Jack Kirby.
They really departed from the content that was like this science fiction weird stuff and went into Spider-Man, introducing that character. And it would be 6 more months until they did another issue with Spider-Man. But man, this book, game changer. Changed everything.
Also, sick cover, and I love it. Let's talk about some numbers. So a curator copy, which I just learned about today, kind of just like a pedigree, but not a pedigree.
Yeah.
A 9.0 curator copy of this book sold in 2024 for $540,000.
What grade was that?
9.4.
9.4, yeah.
In June of this year, a 7.5 sold for $138,000.
This book's in such high demand. So let's say that you decide you just want any copy, the lowest grade you can find, around a 1.0, $13,000 is probably the average price you would find out there if you could find a copy in that grade.
Yeah. Next book. Avengers #1 from 1963, the first appearance of the Avengers, and you guessed it, Jack Kirby did the cover.
First appearance of the Avengers, but not the first appearance of any of the characters. So this book's known for being like reintroducing a bunch of characters in a new team that's still together today in one form or another. Still comic books today being put out with Avengers, New Avengers,
I mean, MCU,
Dark
baby.
Avengers, you name it. So the Avengers really kicked off another era, which is let's introduce all of these other characters and let them hang out and do some good stuff together.
A 9.0 sold in June of 2024 for $3,700. And a 9.6 sold in 2024 for $432,000.
Any grade, like let's say you're doing a 1.0, expect anywhere between $800 and $1,000 for that book. Still expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this book was cheaper than a lot of the other keys, but as time's gone on, it keeps going up because it wasn't a first appearance. And that does make a big difference. You'll see the price difference on these first appearances of these iconic characters that are still with us today.
The next book is X-Men #1 from 1963, the first appearance of X-Men, another Jack Kirby cover.
Very, very popular team, and as it kicked off, people kind of panned it. I don't know if you know that. It wasn't immediately popular. It was as time went on, it became more and more popular.
That makes sense, because it's like a brand new thing.
Yeah, people were, trepidatious if they wanted to jump off JLA, Justice League of America, and get into this, but eventually they really did.
I think that was Marvel's whole thing, too, is they were weary about starting new characters because they had low distribution on what they could produce.
They couldn't just print unlimited comic books.
So they really wanted to make sure people liked whatever they were producing.
Yeah.
A 9.2 sold this year, 2025, for $156,000.
Yeah, so it's cheap. I mean, you can just pick that
Easy.
up on the weekend. Now, if you want to get that super low grade copy, about $2,600 for 1.0 if you can find it, if somebody will peel it off out of their hand.
1.0 out in the world. The next book is Journey into Mystery, number 83 from 1962, the first appearance of Thor.
Yeah, so Thor was from Norse mythology, and boy, was this popular when it came out.
There's some really cool covers in there in that run. The most recent sale was a 7.5 in September of 2025 for $26,400. A 9.0 sold in May last year for $68,000.
Yeah, I mean, this book's actually, when you compare it to some of the other ones, not as bad, but it's hard to get these high grade copies. They just don't exist in the world.
Yeah.
Now, if you want a raw copy of this, low grade, 1.0, area, expect to spend between $1,500 and $2,000.
Next up is Tales of Suspense 39 from 1963, the first appearance of Iron Man, another Jack Kirby cover.
Really fun cover on this book. And, he's changed a lot, but man, Iron Man's still very popular. He wasn't ever the most popular character from that, but he was popular enough to still be around.
Well, those movies now, like the Iron Man movies, are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
The numbers on this, I only have one data point, but it's a 9.4 that sold in June of this year, 2025, for $144,900.
That was a lot of money. Now, if you wanted to just get a copy, you might be able to get a copy for under $1,000 in 1.0 if you could find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if it exists.
Yeah.
Next up is Strange Tales 110 from 1963, the first Doctor Strange, another Jack Kirby cover.
And Paste Pot Pete.
Jack Kirby was busy, by the way.
Tongue twister. This book was really popular during the comic boom, and it went up, 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 because all of this stuff about Doctor Strange and the MCU and all that. And it's dropped since then, but still a book that's very popular.
Well, yeah, like a 9.6 sold last year in April 2024 for $150,000.
9.6 is a ridiculous grade for a book that early.
Insane.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that looks like.
Good.
Raw in hand. Could you imagine how pretty that book is?
And in 9.2, a White Mountain Pedigree sold in November of 2024 for $22,000, which, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's an expensive book. It's gone down in value, but it's still not cheap. And you can get a raw copy of this book for under $1,000 probably in 1.0 if you can find it.
Daredevil #1 from 1964. This is the first appearance of Daredevil. Guess who did the cover, everyone? It was Jack Kirby.
Funny thing about Daredevil, when I was coming up, Daredevil was not that popular. I mean, it was a cheaper book. During the 70s, you could get one of these pretty inexpensively. It's really been like the last 10 years that this book's gotten popular because of how early it came out, introducing a major Marvel character, and people started chasing it a lot more, so the price has gone way up.
So a 9.2 sold in June of 2025 for $21,000.
Yeah, that's still, that's not bad for a book that old.
There is a 9.8 sale as well in 2024, and it was for $360,000.
That's incredible. So that's the rarest of the rare. That's you pulling out, a Fabergé egg. Because books in the early 60s are really hard to find in 9.8. They just are. They had to be sitting around for 60 years and not get damaged at all to be a 9.8. That's crazy.
I would say most of the books on this list have less than 10 9.8s, if not less than 5.
Yeah.
Most of them.
9.8's just not I don't think it's the grade that people should want in this era. I mean, golly, an 8.0 if that's nice. Now, you can get a 1.0 of this book for around $500 if you can find it.
Yeah, a raw one. The next book is Avengers #4 from 1964, the first Silver Age appearance of Captain America, and also Jack Kirby did the cover.
and Jack Kirby also did the early art. So look, Captain America was a real World War II superhero when superheroes were very popular back in that era, and there was this big glut. But here he is, after years of being absent, coming back in Avengers #4. Popular book.
Yeah. So a 9.6 sold of this book in June of 2025 for $25,200.
Yeah.
And a 9.8 sold in January of 2024 for $108,000.
An important book. I mean, as you look at that, it really helps solidify the Silver Age as being this era that could even reintroduce characters, and it reintroduced some other ones as well, in a new way, in a new light. And there was a great storyline going on here with Bucky and him being frozen for 70 years and all that. So, Captain America was popular when it came out.
And if you were to buy it raw today, in low grade?
You can get a 1.0 of this, $150.
That's not bad.
Yeah, you can.
That's actually attainable.
This book's achievable. If you wanted to get this and you didn't have the funds to spend a lot, you can get it.
The next one is Amazing Spider-Man #1 from 1963. This is the second appearance of Spider-Man, and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko did the cover.
Everyone knows about this book, and it really kicked off an era for comic books that is still alive today, and a title, Amazing Spider-Man, that is still alive today. Through many iterations, through lots of numbering changes, and then numbering changes back. Amazing Spider-Man #1 is many people's grail. Might be the book that most people want. I would venture to say this and Amazing Fantasy 15 in the world of comic book collecting are the two most desired books.
I would think AF-15 would be the one.
I think it's unachievable for some people, and
Yeah,
they would be
so
they'd be
expensive.
satisfied with the Spider-Man #1.
Even a third appearance would be fine. So let's talk about some numbers. So an 8 of this sold in January of 2025 for $45,600.
Yeah, that's high grade.
I wanted to give you that number to offset this next number that I'm going to give you. A curator copy in 9/8 sold in January of 2024, $1.3 million.
Yeah, 9/8, come on.
And it's like a pedigree-ish book.
Yes, a curator copy means it was cared for in a way that somebody had put together a collection and curated the highest grade. Now, you can get a 1.0 version of this between $4,500 and $5,000. So, I mean, it's achievable if you put together a lot of money. $5,000 is not cheap.
No. The next book is Fantastic Four, number 48 from 1966. This is the first appearance of Silver Surfer. Jack Kirby and Joe Sinnott did the cover.
So this book, once again, Silver Surfer is incredibly popular. And this, going from FF to his own series, those are the books that are the most popular of all of his books that have been printed since. So
Yeah, because it's 48, which is showing now. I'll show 49 and 50 just so you can see the covers.
Yep. So anyway.
So a 9.4 sold in July of 2025 for $12,000. A 9.6 sold in April for $22,000. And a 9.8 sold in June for $56,000.
Yeah, very important comic book and an important move towards, this space-driven storyline that would include the Watcher and Galactus and all of these other characters. Now, you could get a raw copy of this for around $200 in 1.0.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, if you could find like a 1.0, $200 if somebody will let it go. Sometimes people get a little greedy and they want more because of what it is rather than what the grade is.
And they see the slab price and they're like, give me some of that.
Yeah.
All right, here's the next book. This is Brave and the Bold 28. It's from 1960 and it's the first appearance of the Justice League.
And Starro.
Starro!
Hey, look, honorable mention to Showcase and Brave and the Bold. We're not talking about a lot of the books. We have a couple of things, but there were some series, adventure comics, that were super popular. A lot of those books aren't included on this list, but know that comic book readers love the Legion of Superheroes. They loved the Justice League as they came out. They liked World's Finest. There was a lot of stuff going on in all these DC series, but they don't hold a candle to the stuff that we're talking about in terms of value and collectability. They're not as popular as these titles, but don't think that they're not. If there is a series that I would like to collect, it's Showcase. I love Showcase.
Because they showcase so many different things.
They do. I really liked it growing up, and the first appearance of Spectre and other things that were happening, not included other than me mentioning it right now. But I just want to put that shout out to those books because you might be sitting there like, where's the DC? Not a lot of DC on here. There is some. Anyway.
We're getting into those now. All right, so an 8.0 sold in November of 2024 for $18,000. And a 9.6 sold in January of 2024 for $810,000.
9.6 is insane. What a cool book this is, by the way. This predates, by the way, this does predate X-Men #1. The idea for X-Men #1 came from this book and from the series thereafter. You can get a really low-grade copy, probably under $1,000 if you're lucky and you're able to find one.
The next book is Justice League of America #1 from 1960. It's a Murphy Anderson cover. A 7.5 sold in March of 2025 for $4,945. And a 9.6 sold in April of 2024 for $348,000.
Because it's just rare as hen's teeth to get one that high grade. Now, you could probably get one of these in 1.0 for under $300, maybe $200. So
I feel like out of the two, the Brave and the Bold is the one that people want. The most out of the both.
Are you noticing a pattern, and you might by the end, that it's the first appearances that really demand a lot more money, and a lot of investors are going to buy those. You may not be able to afford it, and there's some other key books that might be able to take its place in your collection. Maybe you like the JLA #1 rather than the Brave and the Bold 28. It's achievable, and you could probably get a mid-grade copy for a decent price.
The next book is Detective Comics 359 from 1967, the first appearance of Batgirl. It's a Carmine Infantino and Murphy Anderson cover.
This comic book is really hot. It's not going to demand the numbers you're seeing from the other ones, but let me tell you, when someone puts this up for sale, it tends to sell if it's priced even near what it should be at that period of time.
So a 9.0 sold this year, 2025, for $3,600, and a 9.2 sold last year for $7,200.
Yeah, and you can get one of these probably for a couple $100 in super low grade. Popular book, and ever since I came back to the hobby 5 years ago, every time I see one of these, it sells. I mean, they're
Detectives
just
in this
popular.
era were really cool. The covers were really good.
There were some great Detectives and Batman's first appearances that are still popular to this day.
The next book is Green Lantern #1 from 1960, the first appearance of the Guardians of the Universe and the origin of Green Lantern retold. Gil Kane did this cover.
A Golden Age character with just reinvented. Not my favorite cover, by the way, of all of these. There's other Green Lanterns later on down the pike.
Sorry, Gil Kane.
Well, it's not. I just think it's like there's something about this cover that doesn't compel me. I'm a cover guy, but the series was really popular.
So a 9.0 sold in 2024 for $11,100, and a 9.2 sold in 2024 for $17,400.
Yeah, you'll see. Once again, it's not the first appearance of the Green Lantern. As you go back into another era, you'll see that the first appearance is worth way more.
I believe that.
You can get a low grade 1.0 area, 200, 250 in that range. So, I mean, it's another achievable book.
Yes. The next book is Batman 181 from 1966. This is the first appearance of Poison Ivy, who's one of my favorite Batman villains. Carmine Infantino and Murphy Anderson cover.
Super popular book. A book I've never owned.
Interesting.
I've never owned that book, and I'd love to own a copy.
Well, let's talk about how much they cost. So a 9.2 sold in 2024 for $15,600. A 9.4 sold in 2024 for $16,800. And a 9.8 sold in June of 2024 for $42,000. There's only 4 9.8s.
What a difference a grade makes.
That's why they all kind of sold in the same time. So I wanted to show all 3 of them.
Yeah, that's good. Popular book. If you don't know about this book, if you ever see one, you'll see the price is not going to be low, but it's a really good cover and a good story. And this, we didn't talk about the Batman TV series, but all of the characters we're talking about were also in the Batman TV series, which is still awesome to watch. I love that series.
If you were to buy a raw copy today in low grade, how much?
$100.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and for a 1.0, where it's something that an issue that has some issues. Anyway.
The next book is Flash 123 from 1961. It's the first Golden Age Flash in the Silver Age and the first mention of Earth 2. Carmine Infantino, Murphy Anderson cover.
Yeah, Marvel has really capitalized on the multiverse, but it was DC that brought it to the table. This book is popular. This is another book I would like to own. This is another book for me that is a bit of a grail. I just think it represents ideology in comics that really brought it to the next level and made it, Superman turned yellow. How are we going to get him back? To no, man, there's like this ripple in time and there's another universe and a black hole somewhere. That's the kind of stuff I like.
People love multiverse. They love it.
And this is popular.
Yes.
The price should show that.
So an 8.5 sold this year, 2025, for $5,000. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
A 9.0 sold in 2025 for $7,000. And a 9.2 sold in 2025 for $10,500.
Yeah, so once again, super hard to get a higher grade than that. 9.0 of this would be phenomenal.
Yes.
It'd be a beautiful, phenomenal book. So as you creep up into the higher grades, you're going to get into the tens of thousands, possibly even 6 figures if it was a 9.6 or a 9.8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if they have any. If you were to buy a raw copy of this,
$250 range.
done.
Yeah. Sold.
Sold. All right, the next book is Batman 171 from 1966. This is the first Silver Age appearance of the Riddler. Carmine Infantino and Murphy Anderson did this cover as well.
Once again, super cool comic book. I like the Batman stuff. I'm a DC guy.
I love the Riddler.
I like DC. I mean, you can tell by the prices that the 60s belonged to Marvel. And they deserved it after getting beat up so much in the 50s, and even through the 60s, they really had to confine what they did because they couldn't publish everything they wanted to. And DC was kind of losing a footing by the end of the 60s where Marvel was skyrocketing. Now, before the 60s, DC was the cat's meow at different periods of time. Anyway.
So a 9.0 sold in May of 2025 for $4,500. A 9.4 sold in April of 2025 for $11,400.
I'm sure whoever got that is probably really happy with it. You can get a super low grade copy for around $100.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want a copy of it, you could probably get it affordably.
Yeah.
Starting in 1968, that's when Marvel broke away from the distribution deal they had with DC. They were purchased by another company. The whole climate had changed, and this is really kicking off the Bronze Age. I really consider the Bronze Age to start around this period. Okay, so some people consider these Silver Age. I consider them Bronze Age books, but they're still in the 60s, and that's why we're talking about them now.
We mentioned it in our 70s video, but we're talking deep.
Yeah, now we're talking about it. So Marvel has the chains off. They're allowed to put out whatever they want. They decide to take all these existing characters and start series with them. So we're going to talk about those books that are popular today.
Yeah, and the first one is Iron Man #1, which came out, of course, in 1968. Gene Colan did the cover.
This is, of all the books we're talking about, this is probably my favorite cover of this group. I think it's phenomenal.
Love that blue.
I've owned it. I owned a copy of this in the 80s.
I think we got a slab of it, too.
I've had a very low grade. I had a 7.0 in the 70s. It's a book that was kind of poo-pooed for when it was, the
first it's not the first appearance.
Yeah, it's not the first appearance. So they're just starting over. That's not. But as time has gone on, this is at the end of an era that comic books weren't necessarily kept in great shape. So I think today it's really done pretty well in terms of collectability and finding high-grade copies that happen to be quite expensive.
Yes. So a 9.6 sold in 2025 for $10,000.
Wow.
That's pretty affordable compared to other books.
Compared to some of the other books, I'm sure whoever got that's super happy to have it.
And a 9.8 sold last year, 2024, for $28,000.
Yep.
Still not insane, but...
Well, it's interesting because like in the 70s, people kind of joked about these books, and here we are getting real money for them. A 9.8 of this, if it's true 9.8, would probably just look like the most sublime thing in the world in your hand.
I said you might be a little biased, though, because you like it so much.
Well, I do. So you can get a super low-grade copy for about $160, give or take. Which is, it's affordable.
Yeah. The next one is Captain America 100, formerly Tales of Suspense. This is the first issue of the Captain America run out of Tales of Suspense. Jack Kirby did the cover.
Change of direction. They're doing these anthology series where they have different characters. They're solidifying with their best characters, and here's Captain America. This was another book that wasn't that expensive, but people liked it. They liked the art, they liked the book, and as it went on, the first issues were just so cool. People dug this series.
Yes. A 9.6 sold this year, 2025, for $3,000, and a 9.8 sold for $7,500.
So and this is like I said, these aren't the first appearances. This is a retooling of an existing brand. Still an expensive book if you want to get it. 9.8 of this is once again kind of crazy, but by 68, people were taking some better care of books. As you can see, there's 9.8s now. You could actually get a raw copy of this for around $50 if it's super low grade. So that's not bad. You can add this to your collection without, having to get a loan.
The question is, should you buy it for $50? I don't know.
if you want to.
If you want it, it's
do whatever
there,
you want with
probably.
your money. You know what I'm saying?
All right, next is Incredible Hulk 102. This is formerly Tales to Astonish, and Marie Severin did the cover.
I like this book. I think it's kind of undervalued in terms of like what it is. Remember, Wolverine was introduced in Hulk 181. This was popular. Dr. Doom, other characters were going back and forth, and there's a lot of Hulk collectors. We don't tend to have any problem selling Hulk from this era.
We typically run out of those faster than anything else.
People love the Hulk, so the Hulk has done great in pop culture in modern times. Let's talk about this particular book and the value.
So a 9.6 sold in 2025 for $1,600. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's crazy low.
Wish I bought it.
A 9.8 sold last year in 2024 for $5,400.
So once again, you'll see the price go way down because it's not a first appearance. That 9.6 for $1,800, I think, was a great deal.
That feels super undervalued to me. So that's crazy.
It just depends. You have to do a deep dive into the census, how many are out there and available. But 9.6s, 9.8s, I promise there's not a glut of them. Just depends on how much money you have if you're willing to put it into this book.
Yeah.
You can get a super low grade copy for around $100.
There you go.
All
right. Submariner #1, John Buscema cover, 1968.
This is a cool series. Not just the #1, but as it went on, it was popular. Characters a little bit different. Aquaman was popular, in the 60s as well, but we didn't include any of the Aquaman stuff because monetarily it just doesn't make the cut.
Yeah.
However, there was some cool Aquaman stuff, but this other kind of darker version of Aquaman being in Submariner, because he is sometimes a bad guy, This series was popular. Let's talk about the value.
So a 9.6 sold in 2025 for $1,740.
That's not bad, man.
And in 9.8, in 2024, a 9.8 sold for $6,500.
Yeah. These are cool books. There's so much to collect, though. It's like, if you're going to park $6,500, is this where you wanted to do it? Somebody did.
Well, I know Submariner's not like the most popular out of all of the Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Like, he's low on the totem pole.
They haven't done a good job at launching him in the MCU, but let's see later on. He was very popular in his day, right? By the way, you can get a number one of this for under $50 in super low grade. So that's cool. I mean, if you want to collect this, it's not expensive to get this run.
Yeah, if you like them.
If you're not grade, if grade's not very important to you.
Next is Doctor Strange 169, formerly Strange Tales, and Dan Atkins did the cover.
This is another book that I haven't really come across a lot of copies when I buy collections. I bought a collection that had a lot of other stuff, and this was missing. So I was like,
of course.
Where is that, man? I was looking for it. It was missing. So
this beginning of the Doctor Strange are usually pretty popular. People want to buy those.
Yeah. Doctor Strange is, once again, I mean, there's an audience for everything we're talking about, right? There's people that want this stuff. Let's talk about the value of this particular book.
Yeah. So a 9.6 sold in 2024 for $4,000.
Yeah.
This one has the most 9.8s out of, I think, every single other one on this list. There's 51 9.8s. A 9.8 sold in 2024 for $8,000.
Yeah, I'd like to see a 9.8 of this in my hand.
Yeah, because a lot of these, again, have less than 5 9.8s on the census. So, and these are all CGC.
Once again, under $100, you can get a copy of this if it's very, very low grade.
It's crazy.
Yep.
All right, the last book is Silver Surfer #1, 1968. John Buscema cover. There he is.
68 was a pretty cool year, wasn't it? Lots of good stuff. And look what happened in the 70s. This stuff continued to blow up. What's the value on this book?
So a 9.6 sold in 2025 for $17,000. And a 9.8, there's 13 9.8s on the census. A 9.8 sold for $132,000 in 2025.
Square bound book. So, I mean, it's a very difficult book to get in 9.8 just because of the way it was produced. Now, between Silver Surfer 1 and Silver Surfer 4, which one would you rather have? Personally, I would rather have the Silver Surfer #4, also Sal Buscema art.
Is that the Thor one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really cool.
I mean, not that Silver Surfer 1 isn't cool, but Silver Surfer 4 is like, stop the press. What about that cover? And I think that defines the late 60s, and the action on that cover is so cool. But Silver Surfer was super popular, and this was a short-run series, and Silver Surfer's still being, they're still making Silver Surfer stuff today.
That almost makes me think, are they going to have Thor in the new Doctor Doom series? Because they said that Fantastic Four is going to be in it. So if Silver Surfer's in it, maybe Thor's going to be in it.
I bet you at some point they're going to have that iconic thing.
I was just like, they're probably going to do that.
Coming down.
I would love that. Anyway, that just came to my brain.
Going to happen.
All right, so we've wrapped up the books. Let's talk about how we're going to rate the 1960s.
I think 1960s are probably the most collected widely in terms of like the most people. Not that people aren't liking other eras. They are. But when it comes to the 1960s, people are a bit ravenous about getting a hold of some of these keys if they can. This is the stuff that great garage sale tales are made of. Right? I mean, when you're thinking about a book to find in a garage sale, you're thinking about one of the books we just brought up.
Yes. So our 5 key points that we're breaking down for this era are availability. Are the books available? Demand. Do people want to buy them? Price. Are they affordable? Can people buy them? Are people buying them? Track record of sales. Are there consistent sales records that you can look back on? And then finally, relevance. Will people care about these books in the future?
So let's start with availability.
Availability, and we're going to rate these 1 through 5, 1 being low, 5 being above average.
You would think, we threw out some huge numbers, right? Do you think these books are rare? Do you think they're scarce? Do you think they're hard to find? Rachel and I were talking about it, and she goes, let me take a peek. So I said, I don't know, look up Hulk 1, for instance.
All right, let's count how many Hulk 1s there are. We've got 1, 2.
This on eBay.
3, 4. These are not facsimiles. 5, 6, 7.
This is on eBay. This is one place.
8, coverless.
We can just stop there. Let me tell you, this is early Marvel. This is at the very beginning, right, of all this, none of these are scarce. None of these are rare. None of these are hard to find.
But they're expensive.
They're expensive.
They're so expensive.
And here's what you should watch out for. And by the way, we did this with multiple books. I'm here to tell you, all of the books we talked about today, you could find a copy right now. Word of warning. When people have a book like this, they want to get the most money they could possibly get out of it. And you're going to see it's almost problematic how people overprice this stuff.
Here's an example. I was trying to look up what the most recent sale of Hulk 1 was. I had to scroll back pretty far in the sold list to find one. So they're not selling as much as they're being listed.
Yeah, it's like, would you perhaps give me $3,000? No. Would you perhaps give me $2,800? No. And it just keeps going down till the price gets right. So when you see a lot of books on a book that's, hard to get or very expensive, a lot listed, you might think that's a good thing. It's a bad thing. They're overpriced. So, for someone to negotiate to the point that it's close to what the market would bear, now you're there. But when you see it glutted, not a good thing. If you're looking for investment books, you might want to stay away from books that have 20 or 30 copies on eBay, because that's only one place. So that means that a lot of people are trying to get too much. And if you're trying to invest in it, that might not be the best thing anyway.
Yeah, but we said 4 for availability, which seems high. But like we said,
it is high. They're available.
We can find one. Even in an AF-15, we could find one. But could we afford it? I don't know.
There are books from the 60s that are harder to find than others in grade. But I wouldn't say there's books from the 60s that are hard to find overall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because people want to sell them and people want to buy them.
So it's pretty close to a slam dunk that if you're collecting that era, man, you're going to find your books.
Which brings us to the second part, which is demand. Do people want to buy them? Yes.
Even though, there's a bunch of Hulk ones and other things, people want to buy them. They want to pay what they can afford. But when these books are priced towards the census, what I mean, towards what they sold for last.
On GPA
or
something.
If the price is going down, because it's pretty volatile right now in 2025, but if the price is still going down, people might want to keep trying to get less. I'm here to tell you, these books are off the chart in demand.
Which is why we gave demand 5.
Off the chart. This is the era. This is the era that people would love to collect if they could afford it. And as we talk about Golden Age and Platinum Age, those books are different, right?
Yes.
Different.
Also expensive, but different.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next part, price. We've kind of already talked about this, but the prices are high and people aren't paying those prices.
Yeah. Volatile market. People do pay high prices.
They do.
We quoted sales.
Many sales.
But in general, they don't. So that's a very small fraction of a fraction, right?
And I didn't even mention this, but most of the sales data that I got, it was the only sale that's ever happened of that grade.
So if the prices are high that in this category, that means you're going to spend a lot. And where do we land on that?
2.5 for price.
We don't always have to spend a lot. I mean, it just depends on what you need. When we talked about the Bronze Age, we talked about you kind of need to, from an investment perspective, buy high. Not so much on this stuff. If you get any copy, that's pretty good. I mean, you can
only ones I'd be
easily sell it anyway if you try to sell it for the right price.
The only ones I'd be leery of are the coverless ones. There are a lot of those available. Every time I've searched one, there's at least 1 or 2. I don't think that that's a good investment.
Coverless lives in its own little space. That's for the collector who really wants any copy, but coverless can be expensive if you're looking at.
It hard to sell.
There's a market.
Yeah.
There is a market. There might be someone with a cover they want to marry to it or something like that. Somebody might have a cover from another issue. And by the way, that's a demerit in grading if you marry covers. They might have an issue that's brittle pages and they want to remove the cover and put it on a nicer copy. So that you get a lot of finagling going on. A lot of finagle.
That sounds scary to me.
Stay away from the finagle.
The next one is track record of sales.
Yep. Do people know what to expect out of these? Do they continue to rise? Are they popular now and were they popular then? What do we give this one?
5.
So popular.
This is the decade, you guys, that everybody wants.
We've been selling these Silver Age books that are very low. 2 O's, 3 O's, 1 8's. Every one of them sell. Because we sell at the price that they've been selling for in that same grade and we try to maybe knock 10% off. We've sold every one of them. So, I mean, it's going pretty well.
Yes. And then the final point is relevance. Will people care about these in the future? Well, we have many decades of time that has happened between now and then. And I would say that yes.
So much.
Look at every movie that's ever come out from Marvel and DC.
So I can tell you, how did Bozo the Clown do? And how did all these other characters from the 60s do? Not very well. Most kids do you know who Bozo is?
Yeah.
Okay, just curious. A lot of people don't even know who it is. How did Hulk do? Everyone knows who Hulk is. My grandson walked in with Hulk hands the other day.
He does love Hulk.
So these characters are relevant in pop culture and in entertainment, and I think for decades to come, they will continue to be relevant.
And that's why we gave that one a 5.
Yeah.
So, our overall ranking out of 25 is 21.5, which gives this decade an average of 4 stars out of 5. That's the highest one we've had so far.
Yeah, this is the decade, man. A lot of collectors in this decade. A lot of people have nuance. You know, they might want series we didn't even mention. I like a lot of stuff we didn't mention today.
Please comment down below all the things we didn't mention. Because I'm sure there's so many things.
Or artists that you think we should have repped, you know. Hey, look,
we really didn't dive into the artists. There's a lot of them.
we spent all the time talking about the books. Hope you enjoyed that. We have other decades coming too in the future, plus some other videos. Hope you guys like our content. Make sure to leave a message, leave a comment. We appreciate it.
And subscribe.
Till next time.